Let's quickly look here at the creation of a scatterplot. A scatterplot is used when we want to investigate the relationship between two numeric variables. And in this case, we were interested in looking at the relationship between hours and feet, two of our variables in our data set called moving. And what we want to do is create a scatterplot of these with one variable on the x-axis, one on the y-axis. And we'll take a look at these. So I'm going to go ahead and select these two columns of observations for hours and feet. And I can select these by dragging all the way down, or once I've got some selection done, I can actually hit Control-Shift down arrow. That'll select all the way down to the end of the list. And now I go to Insert, I select Scatterplot, and I'll just pick a basic scatterplot, no lines. That's generally the conventional way that we'll look at a scatterplot to investigate a relationship between two variables. And what we're looking for in a scatterplot is we want to know if it looks like there's a linear relationship between these two variables. And what we look for there is to see if these points fall in a cluster around some straight line. And one way we can investigate that a little bit further using the charts in Excel is if we go to our Layout ribbon, we have the option to add a trend line. And I'll click on this trend line button and simply add a linear trend line. And this will draw a best fitting line through these data points. The line, by the way, has the same equation that you would get if you did linear regression on this line. And if you dig a little further under the options under trend line, you can actually show the equation on the line. But for now, we're just interested in the relationship. And yes, it looks like these points do fall fairly tightly clustered around a straight line that in this case happens to have a positive slope. So we'd say this is a strong positive relationship between these two variables. Now, one thing I do want to point out here is that this, although it's not labeled yet, feet was actually placed on the y-axis and hours on the x-axis. Like most of the charts in Excel, the Excel looks at the selected data and takes the left-hand variable when it has a choice and puts that on the x-axis, and the columns that are to the right become the one or more multiple variables that are shown on the y-axis. If we wanted to generate this chart so that feet was on the x-axis, on the horizontal axis, which is actually the way it was done on page 31 in your book, what we would need first to do is change the data set around so that feet was to the left and hours to the right. And one way of doing that is to just insert a blank column. So I'll go up here by the column marker C. I'll right click and just do an insert. And then I can take my column A. I'll click on the first cell and I'll do a Control-Shift down arrow to select the whole column. And I'm going to copy it and I'm going to paste it into column C. So now I have the variable hours shown twice. And if I were now to select feet and hours with feet to the left and hours to the right and generate another scatter plot, we would see that feet shows up on our x-axis and hours shows up on our y-axis. And you'll notice the curve looks more like the one that's in the textbook. You can go ahead once again and change the formatting here, remove the legend. You can change the title, add chart titles, and change your grid lines and so on using the tools under the layout ribbon up under the charts tools area.